Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we
Yep.
can. How do I sound?
You're good on my end as well.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Thank you for DJing for our intro. Thank you to everybody who joined us. It's been a busy 2 weeks and a crazy last 3 or 4 days. I obviously have some contributors up here joining me on the call today. Last community call, we had everybody kind of give us their own sort of updates, and I felt like that was just a solid way to go. So I've invited a couple more to join us today, starting with Nate. Nate, maybe you can give us a recap of EthDenver.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. We got back last week and still doing follow-ups from the event. Our main goal in going to ETH was really to educate people on Carbon and share what's coming in the upcoming beta release. And I'd say we were super targeted in this event, and I think it was probably our most efficient and productive event in my 5 years with Bancor. So firstly, the feedback on Carbon was immensely positive. We continually heard that the design is highly differentiated from other DEXs on the market and gives the protocol a serious edge. We had about 5 contributors there, including me, Jen, and Mark, and we had about, I'd say, 40 sit-down meetings with a wide range of industry players. Among them were a number of institutional trading and market-making firms. The broad consensus there is that Carbon is really the closest thing they've seen to a fully on-chain order book exchange. And this is really exciting for them because it means they can use the same strategies they employ on centralized exchanges in a non-custodial on-chain environment. So many of these firms are eager to get their hands on the Carbon SDK and smart contracts in order to integrate Carbon into their trading stack and test various trading and market making strategies on the protocol. Another key group of talks that we had were with DeFi projects that are looking to integrate Carbon. These projects range from lending protocols to liquidity managers to on-chain trading and arbitrage tools that plan on utilizing Carbon. We also spoke to a number of research and media organizations that were super impressed by Carbon, and we'll work with them to really get the word out once the release happens. Lastly, we spoke to a number of established and up-and-coming L1s and L2s about building Carbon beyond ETH-L1. We spoke about this before, but compared to previous Bancor products, deploying Carbon on other chains is vastly more simple. So we should expect to see faster deployment of Carbon on other chains and L2s after the kinks are worked out on ETH-L1. And that is really the high level from the event.
Nate, do you think, I know, you want to start really having the conversations you said once the kinks are kind of worked out. You think it's time we kind of start talking about them, or at least thinking about them a little bit as a community, or a little premature still?
I'd say thinking, yes, but it does seem a little premature. I would say my priority is to really making sure Carbon is working as well as possible on ETH-L1 once it comes out of the gate. But I think soon after the release, it'll really be time to start having these conversations as a community and making the decisions as a DAO.
Yeah, that makes total sense. We won't get too far ahead of ourselves. What would you say your top 3 takeaways from the event were? I know I have my own thoughts, and you weren't kidding when you said it was ridiculously efficient and productive. I mean, it was nonstop for the few days that we were there. But what were your top 3 takeaways?
Totally. So, I mean, the first one that comes to mind is really that Carbon really resonates with kind of a wide range of players. So everyone from kind of highly sophisticated trading firms to everyday users. We would hear advanced institutional traders say this is really perfect for our trading desk, and then in the next meeting we heard from projects, this is perfect for sort of everyday DeFi users who want to automatically swing trade their holdings and make money from volatility without exposing themselves to the risk of IL. So I would say this kind of interest from both sophisticated and everyday users is encouraging. And if it materializes in the actual usage of the protocol, would create a really healthy diversity of participants. I'd say the second takeaway is really that the on-chain revolution seems to be gaining steam. And more people we spoke to want to move their trading and activities to on-chain, non-custodial, fully transparent venues. All the way up to the most conservative sort of CeFi leaning organization. That's the case. And going into the event, there was this kind of narrative that US firms in particular were sort of shying away from DeFi, and this certainly was not my impression. To the contrary, they're really investing heavily in building out their on-chain infrastructure, and this puts Carbon in a pretty good spot too to capture what I expect to be an increasing amount of on-chain activity in the coming months. I guess the last one is really that crypto is not dead. This was my third EthDenver, and I was actually blown away by the size of the event this year. I think it was something like 33,000 attendees, and really the maturity of the projects involved. I mean, if you spend time reading the headlines or on crypto Twitter, you might be fooled into thinking that the industry is effectively on its deathbed, and people have moved on from crypto and given up hope in this sort of revival. But that could have been further from the truth on the ground. People are still incredibly excited and innovating. New companies and projects are still investing heavily in the space. So it gave me this kind of renewed optimism as a whole that we're not only surviving but really growing up as an industry.
All three are great points. We've talked about how, at first it was kind of like, who is Carbon for? And then we realized it was really for everyone, so it was nice to go and speak with everyone and actually have that confirmed, and after everything that was happening, people really are looking to be on chain. And your last one reminded me of Rick during our coffee break on Friday. I think this was something that he brought up. Just seeing that, you're reading things that are on crypto Twitter, like you said, the headlines, and you think that this is catastrophic and whatever's happening and crypto is dead. And it's so far from that. That event was huge, and there was so much enthusiasm throughout the entire event. It was really great to be a part of, and to kind of, like I said, have that all confirmed. Thank you so much for your update.
Sure thing.
Tiago, maybe you can give us an update on the analytics dashboard. The last community call, we got an update followed by a little sneak peek of the front end, which looked beautiful, by the way. How is that coming along, and what's the newest update?
Thank you, Jen. So the backend right now is almost ready. There's now some work on the front end to make some adjustments to how the data was processed there. And it should show the TVL volume and fees as said before. But I mean, the dashboard will be continuously worked on, and we expect to have much more data there for the community to look at.
Perfect. So you'll continue to keep us updated then, and any other sneak peeks that you can give us. I know I would love to see, and the community appreciates those as well. So looking forward to hearing and seeing more from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. Kevin, let's speak to the fast lane. How are you?
Good. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can. Nice of you to
Okay.
join us. I think this is your first time
Thanks.
joining us on the community call, so it's good to have you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. What can you tell us about the fast lane? I know we've spoken about it a few times, but I know that we think you have an update for us.
I do. Okay. So first, I want to give it like a high-level recap for anyone who isn't familiar with it. So it's important to understand that arbitrage in general is a good thing. It can be thought of as a service that keeps the markets healthy by bringing the prices of tokens across different exchanges into line. And those arbitrageurs are compensated for that service by keeping the profits from their trades. The idea behind the fast lane is for the protocol to arbitrage itself against other exchanges and keep the compensation that's usually earned by arbitrageurs for itself. And this is particularly interesting right now for Bancor because it has the potential to reduce the deficit.
So something I noticed within our channels really quickly is everyone kind of speaking to the proposal passed right around the time of the fast lane proposal passing. The one in regards to using 100% of the fees earned on Carbon to buy and burn BNT to help alleviate the deficit. I don't see many speaking of the fast lane proposal though, and I'm not sure they realize the actual potential of it. So maybe you can help me explain this from another angle, possibly. I understand what it does, but what is it? I mean, it's preventing this from leaving the protocol, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah, exactly.
value.
Exactly. So arbitrage trades do earn fees for Bancor, but they're clearly making profits above those fees. And the main goal here of the fast lane is to keep the value, that additional value on the platform to keep it from leaking.
Got it. So seeing this value leaving is kind of where this emerged from.
Yeah, exactly. So the realization of this is a smart contract that lets anyone perform arbitrage trades without paying the usual trading fees on Bancor. And the caveat is that the smart contract keeps most of the profit and uses it to burn BNT to reduce the deficit. So this is obviously fantastic, but there's a problem because the contract alone can't find arbitrage opportunities. It can only execute the trades that someone inputs. Remember, anyone can input the trade. It's an open source smart contract that anyone can interact with. But the missing piece here is a bot that can find the actual arbitrage trades and inform the smart contract. So, with that in mind, I'm extremely excited to announce that Bancor is developing an arbitrage bot to complement the Fastlane, and the bot's code will soon be made open source so that anyone can run it. And honestly, the more the merrier.
That's amazing. I've seen so many people actually asking, and I don't mean to cut you off really quickly, who was going
That's
to be
fine.
searching for the trades. So we'll have, when I say we, I mean Bancor, the DAO, have our own arbitrage bot then.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's very exciting.
It's super exciting. Can you give us any more details on it?
Yeah,
Or are they kind of
definitely.
hushed? Yeah? Okay,
No,
awesome.
no. It's time to spill the information. So I'm sure everyone's curious. So here's a few high level details. So the main functionality of the bot is to search liquidity pools and calculate if any arbitrage opportunities exist. And if it finds one, it can execute the trades through the Fastlane smart contract.
So it does both.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
searches and
exactly. It
amazing.
finds the opportunities and sends that information to the contract to execute the trade. By the way, an
That's
important note here is that this
yeah,
is not an MEV bot. It doesn't try to perform sandwich attacks or front run anyone.
which is fantastic. Because we've all been talking about this with Carbon. I know we've talked about it in a couple of Twitter spaces and things like that. And it's kind of one of the perks of Carbon is that it's resistant to sandwich attacks. And those are not healthy for any users at all, you know? So that's great
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I totally agree. Like I was looking yesterday at Twitter and seeing flash bots, celebrating how much money they made, and it's a little painful because all that money is MEV coming at the expense of Ethereum users.
It was insane. I was looking at some of those after our Twitter Spaces. It was actually before Twitter Spaces when I started following AgenFi, but I've become
Uh-huh.
a huge fan of that account and seeing the amount that people are losing with sandwich attacks, and it's insane, And I
Yeah,
don't think in that same regard that people really realize how much how much value the fast lane can keep within the protocol. I've been watching those numbers as well, you know?
yeah, completely agreed. I'm very excited about it. By the way, like it's not going to capture 100% of the arbitrage here, like
Right.
especially since we're not sandwich attacking people, but it definitely has some potential.
Right. No, for sure. I didn't mean to get off track there. Do you have any other details you might want to share with us or you can
Yeah,
share with us?
yeah, definitely. So I just want to note here that the bot's going to require some technical knowledge. At least as of now, it doesn't have a user interface.
Okay. So
And
not your average DeFi user. Still
yeah,
simpler than searching for the trades yourself, though.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Um, so also the bot will, at least at the start, be able to search for arbitrage between Bancor's exchanges and SushiSwap, Uniswap V2, and Uniswap V3, and of course in the future Carbon.
Awesome. That's really exciting because, like I said earlier, I mean, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, and then I know you said it won't catch all of the volume, but I think it was this wild number of like 450 million. I remember it catching my attention, that number just sticking with me, the arbitrage volume for 2022 for Bancor. And that was like a serious number. And this was kind of right around the time that this report came out that we really started speaking to the Fastlane proposal.
Yeah, it's definitely a very significant amount of trade volume.
Right.
So something really cool about the bot is that it's going to be very configurable. So people can specify things like the tokens that they want to search for arbitrage, or the specific exchanges they want to search, and other things like the minimum amount of trade profit to execute a trade.
Okay. So maybe eventually not just sushi, UniV2 and UniV3. Then, if they can search different exchanges and things of that sort as well.
Right. It's definitely built with that in mind.
Awesome. Super, super exciting. Did I exhaust your details, or do you have anything more for us?
Uh, let me just double check. I do want to mention that when the code becomes open source, anyone will be able to contribute to it. Obviously, either by running the bot itself or creating pull requests to add support for new exchanges, for example.
I love that. When this all started, we were talking about the community effort, in the recovery. And I feel like this really, really goes with that narrative. So the fact that anybody's going to be able to run this, anybody's going to be able to build on and expand on it, I think is just a fantastic direction for us to be headed.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited about it, to say the least.
Amazing. Thank you. So currently, the last update we got, we were in testing on V2.1. Is that correct? Are we still kind of in
Yeah,
this phase right now? Okay.
yeah, we're testing on V2.1, and V3 is expected soon.
Okay. The infamous
Soon,
soon.
trade with the
Okay.
trademark. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much for joining us and for the update on the Fastlane. It's definitely an exciting thing to be looking forward to and to keep updated on. So appreciate you
Thank
joining us.
Thanks, Jen. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so a couple more dev updates that I received. Tiago gave us an update earlier on the analytics dashboard. In regards to the SDK, we're currently in the process of setting everything up and making sure the infrastructure is working as expected for any integrator and developer following our docs and process. And speaking of docs, the tech docs are in the works and almost complete. I've been told they're in the final edits phase with some polishing happening, though waiting for the audits to make any last minute, necessary changes. In terms of the audits and the contract side of things, all issues found on the first audit have now been fixed, and we have 2 additional audits that have either just started or are about to. The increased overall precision of the system has been worked on, and gas optimizations as well. So now, with all of that being complete, we are conducting performance testing for the overall protocol. And last but not least, front-end changes are being made to the UI to address the suggestions of users who participated in round 1 of the user interviews. Tyler, why don't you join me? We can speak to the status to the round 2 of the user interviews a little bit. I know that's kind of something that you've been working on.
Yeah, sure. So like Jen already said, the product contributors have been digesting the feedback that we got from round 1, which was very useful. And unfortunately, we can't really set a hard date on when we'll start the interviews back up. But once we're happy with the product enhancements, then we will reach out to previous people that participated, and we've been kind of collecting ongoing list of people we think would be really great to have their eyes on and get some feedback from. So basically, we'll announce it when we're ready. Update.
Okay, am I asking too much if I ask you for maybe an idea of what the enhancements might be, or too soon?
Well, I really don't need to get into any specifics, but it's mainly just user flow. User experience is obviously paramount for this process. And I think, when you're building a product, you might have an idea of what is best, but until you have, I think we had like 30, 40 people look at this and give us really honest critiques and criticisms that were super helpful. Then we have kind of a better idea on instead of us predicting what users want, they're just telling us. So it's a really, really productive process. So I kind of feel like I'd like to just keep it under wraps, and when we're ready to kind of show the public, I think that I just want it to be like perfect,
I don't blame you. No, I get it. The process has been working fantastic so far. So it'll be nice to just kind of have the round two and hear what everybody has to say about all of that.
Yeah, definitely.
We had our DAO discussion this past Wednesday on carbon protocol fees. It was a nuanced discussion with really great community participation. I was really happy that some DAO members got up there and really voiced their opinions on this. We had a lot of questions and we had some debates. If you missed it, please visit the Bancor YouTube under the DAO discussions category. You'll see it as the most recent video posted there, and it's titled Carbon Launch Protocol Fees. So I recommend checking that out. We have our coffee break on Friday. I almost regret having the coffee break so early on in the day, because it was kind of Friday night when everything hit, or Friday evening, at least for me, where I'm located. And I would have loved to talk about the strategies that could have been created and, during all of that sort of chaotic time and volatility. Tyler, I know that you've been talking strategies a bunch, and I'm curious, while you're here, if you have anything to say about this.
Oh boy. Yeah, I have a lot to say. I haven't specifically been tracking stable coins pegged to USD. It's obviously a use case that everyone's really excited about for carbon, but I'm more interested in kind of like the LSD, the liquid staking derivative coins. I think I've been a little bit more interested in tracking. I've been tracking the Bitcoin to ETH peg, because that's one traders really, to me, that's kind of a win-win strategy. And then I've been looking at ETH USDC, and man, it's just been like every time I want to back test it, some giant move happens in the market, and then the strategy becomes even more like interesting to me. So I'm like, no, I'm just gonna wait. And of course, the buy and sell ranges I've set on specifically my ETH USDC strategy has been tapped into, I think, like 13 times over the last month.
Wow.
So this is like, you can't get any better than this hypothetical strategy. So it's a little bittersweet, because obviously we all just want carbon to be live right now, so we can kind of extract this value and take advantage of these discrepancies. But it's also really, really, really promising from a product to market fit standpoint, and it's really promising from just a getting a little bit of vindication on these use cases that we're also excited to see come to fruition. So the market is cyclical, so I anticipate to see a lot of these opportunities in the future. So it's not too bittersweet, but obviously we're just really anxious to see this live.
Right. No, I completely understand. I want to encourage everybody. We have created, and we've shared, a couple of us contributors and community members, under the carbon tab on the left-hand side, you'll see links, general, and then strategy ideas. This is a new forum that is, there for the purpose of kind of creating these hypothetical strategies and seeing how this would play out, at least up until carbon launches, and giving everybody, like Tyler was just saying, a feel for where they stand in terms of, like, am I doing this properly? How would this actually play out if carbon was launched? And I know we've spoken about it a couple of times in the channels. We talk about it on the coffee breaks, but I just want to encourage everybody to kind of take a peek in there at the couple that have already been created, and then to just create your own. And I've offered to run them through the simulator and to kind of back test them the way Tyler said he wants to back test his own strategy. So I just want to encourage everybody to create that, kind of test it out a little bit, play with it, get familiar with it at least. And if you do want me to run it through the simulator, then please don't hesitate to contact me.
I think it really helps to kind of strip away a lot of the tech that we talk about a lot with Carbon. I mean,
Yes.
obviously, like it's a very, like it's innovative. And obviously we have some pretty big tech that was built out specifically for this product. And it's a game changer, but it shouldn't, I don't want people to get discouraged by the nomenclature and the concepts. Like it's a very simple product. And I think once we got into the interview process, I think it was a lot of people kind of got it right away. Like the light bulb goes off. It's buy low, sell high. It's explicit trading positions that, I don't want to say the words win-win, but you can hedge against any scenario in the market using Carbon. So like, I think at the end of the day, it's just very productive for people that are interested to just get an idea of, cut all the technological babble aside and just come up with some pretty easy win-win scenarios for Carbon using the myriad of use cases that we think exist here once it's on mainnet.
Well, and it's really great too, because you actually have now, as an LP or a trader, whatever you want to consider yourself, the ability to go in and take control of where everything is being traded, your parameters, what your actual strategy is going to be, and then just sit and watch it play out without all of the other, like you said, I don't want to get technical, but without your trades reversing and without these sandwich attacks and everything else. I can't speak to how exciting it is and how I really want to encourage everybody to just play with it, And I think once Carbon is live, or for anybody on the call who didn't participate in the round one, I know I've mentioned it before on previous calls. Tyler and I were just talking about the round 2 of the demos starting. Please reach out to one of us if you are interested in participating in the user interviews. We would love to hear what you have to say and really get this to where the users want it to be. And I think with that, I really just want to thank everybody that joined the call. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, or if you do want to participate in the demos. I'm going to create a link and an event here for the coffee break on Friday. We do a lot of the trading talk and just Carbon updates, kind of off the record sort of thing, unofficial. And I want to thank Nate and Tiago and Kevin and Tyler and Glenn. Thank you guys for joining me up here.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys
Thanks,
again.
guys.
We'll talk to you all soon. Of course.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.